And that brings us into our next fight, a nice middleweight bout. We got Karl Roberson coming in against Dalcha Lungiambula. Sorry, I was
Good
just
job,
so
buddy.
stressed about saying that name.
Yeah, you said Robertson. Yeah.
So, Baby K, he comes in sporting that 9-3 record. He's 4-3 in the UFC, which kind of might catch you off guard. But if you dive a little bit deeper into
that
those
boy,
losses, man, they are serious losses. He lost to Glover Teixeira. He did lose to Marvin Vettori, who we actually just saw take on Hermansson in the main event and win pretty handedly. So these are pretty credible losses from serious contenders.
Exactly.
So I'm not trying not to look too much into those. On the flip side, we got Dalcha fighting out of the Republic of Congo. Sports a 10-2 record, but he's 1-1 in the UFC. He won his debut against Daquan Townsend, but then lost to Ankalaev, who kicked him in the face, I think, and knocked him out. And so that was back in 2019. This is his first fight in 2020, and he is moving down a weight class. So I'm very curious to see what we get from Lungiambula here. But Karl Roberson seems to be, a pretty strong contender in this fight. What do you see divulging here?
Yeah, so it's funny, right? Because for us, we know a lot of the surrounding fighters that kind of go into this fight. So it's kind of like, let's just pick these guys apart a little bit by, what we've seen from the fighters they've fought. The one thing I want to point out about your boy Lungiambula is, Magomed Ankalaev is the guy that fought, Kutilaba, remember the referee who, when he was pretending to be knocked out, ended up right, and then they ended up fighting again. And they fought second time, and we pounded him even at I remember minus 334. I won't forget it. We still took, because that was what the line ended at, and it's not when it opened. It was still a minus 2 something, and it closed at that, and we were still going to put that in a parlay. And that is that Dawson's loss. So you know what I'm saying? Like, that's a talented striker. That's a guy who's working his way up in actual rankings at the UFC. So even though he's got that loss, that's a great little tidbit on him. On the flip side, his third round ground and pound loss to Daquan Townsend. I mean, I'll be honest with you, Daquan Townsend at this point, like the 28, the 20 plus record with, less than like 15 losses always looks good on paper, right? But there's a lot of guys the tail end of their careers with those records. that's what we always have to remember. There's guys like Charles Oliveira with similar records like that who are about to enter their prime at 30 something years old. So, let's not go there. So that's what I'm trying to
with a grain of salt.
Right? That's the whole point. So when you're talking about wins and losses, like, unfortunately, beat really, really bottom of the barrel UFC competition in the third round, but also lost to top tier UFC competition in the third round. You know what I mean? So there's this weird thing about him where do we see him being as a, top tier fighter? Because when it comes to median, he's kind of smack down middle anyway in those one-on-one fights. So now let's look at Karl Roberson, right? Him and Marvin Vettori with that long feud, right? With him getting sick and then he missed the weights and couldn't end up fighting. So Marvin Vettori had to put off his entire year to just fight this one guy. Like, it was really tough for him. And he took it out on him. Like, that was first round. Like, that was a demolition. And so, the one thing I don't like about Karl Roberson, and you pointed out great, when you dive into the losses, those 3 losses are against very, very good fighters, all-around fighters who have shown great ground game for the weight class and proved it against him. That's the big thing for me. I really feel like, first-round submissions of that, like, there's a consistency there. I think he makes bad judgment calls. I think he has, a bit of mental game to learn when it comes to the octagon. And that's what maybe separates him from the elite fighters, which makes this a very interesting fight. Because at first glance, I can see people just absolutely pounding Dalcha. But when you look, but when you look at Karl Roberson's career and how he's fought, he's a weird looking dude when he's fighting. Half the time he looks like, he's half asleep, half knocked out, but even his movement against Marvin Vettori, Marvin Vettori was very aggressive. He was very much able to get in. But Marvin Vettori went to a decision with Israel Adesanya. Like, these are the fighters he's losing to. I'm okay with saying this is a very, very close fight. Very close.
Yeah, and so let's dive right into the odds there. Who do you see as the favorite in this one?
And it's funny you ask me that, right? Because in my mind right now, off of my tongue, I was going to say something. And then I look at my notes and I honestly went the other way. And it's crazy how much I went the other way. So this is the one thing I'll say. Do you remember Alan Bodo? Alan Bodo. Mm-hmm. Remember the name? Mm-hmm. So he's the guy that Tom Aspinall smashed in his last fight, right?
Yeah.
You remember me showing you a highlight of Alan Bodo getting absolutely slept. Like punch lands and the man like just falls forward asleep. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
This is the guy that did that.
Okay.
And so that's where like, okay, don't see this fight going to the ground. If Roberson is smart and he's able to use the grappling, I would totally consider taking the fight to the ground with this guy. But I don't think he does. I don't see that mental fortitude there. That's why I'm going to go with your boy Dalcha as the favorite at actually minus 180 based on my notes.
Wow. So if I'm going to slap you in the face with this line, does that mean we're taking the boy from Congo here?
Oh, God.
So Baby K actually comes in at a minus 275 favorite.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That lines up with my personal take on the line. I was wondering if maybe there was some Vegas bias to what is. And you know what's interesting, Pies, is what we might see as hype in some of these knockouts. We have to remember that the average bettor is not finding that highlight.
Not seeing them, yeah.
Yeah, so, and maybe that's something for even me to consider when I'm making these lines, because for me to even think of Roberson as the dog, but then think of that as like the betting line, it has a lot to do with me assuming that the research that I'm doing, the things that I'm looking at is probably what bettors and Vegas are doing when they're going into these lines, but clearly not the case. Going back to what I'm saying, would I consider a sprinkle on that? 100%.
And we'd probably look at the under in this one as well.
100%.
Overall, it's going to be a great card. Tune in UFC this Saturday, December 19th. For us, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that bell button, give us a follow on Instagram, Twitter. Our picks go up all of there, along with all of our other content, clips of our videos from YouTube. Other great MMA content is on the Kaizen MMA. Make sure you check it all out. Give us a follow. Give us a subscribe. Give us a comment. Engage in conversation. Whatever you may want to do to kind of further this. Anything else, Siraj?
No, man. Everything. You just hit nail on the head. Like, let's finish the year strong. This is the last fight card for us. We're going to be going real hard at this one. Just have some fun with it. We're really excited for the next couple of weeks to be able to develop, our niche, our market. It's gonna be really fun for us, and so we're really excited for 2021. And if we don't really, since we don't have a card, as the vet, the bet, and the casual, happy holidays, happy Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and we'll see you for the next card. But maybe we get you some new content in that time. We shall see.
Yeah, perfect. You said it best, man. Happy holidays to everybody. Thank you for all your support. And Siraj, great seeing you as always, man.
You, my boy. I love you. Peace.
Take care.